What's up guys, welcome to a new series called MMR BG Guides, and in this series I like to talk about the most important things you need to keep in mind in deathmatch, and I will give you tips that you can hopefully use in your own games and therefore get a higher win rate overall. In the first episode of this new series I want to talk about the positioning, because it's one of the most important things you need to keep in mind when playing deathmatch. The way you position yourself and the way your team position yourself is easier if you're a pre-made group, but even if you queue solo, you still need to pay attention how your team is positioned and how the enemy team is positioned, so you can have an advantage over them. Before I start this guide, I want to tell you that I'm starting another new guide series where I analyze your gameplay so you know where exactly you need to improve or what you can do to improve. So if you're interested in this kind of gameplay analysis, check out the description below so you know how you can submit a gameplay. Alright, let's talk about how to position yourself in a team deathmatch. So Battlegrounds are a 3-team based game mode, and that means that every team has 2 opposing teams, and if you position yourself correctly, you can force one team to get attacked by both teams, so your team doesn't get pressured a lot, while one of the enemy's team gets pressured by 2 teams. And this scenario is called sandwich position, and it's really important that your team doesn't get into this position while you force other teams into this position. This is all possible because Battlegrounds are 3-team based game modes, and as long as there are 3 teams, you have to abuse this game mechanic in order to win high MMR Battleground games. So I will split the video in 2 parts. The first part is about how you avoid getting sandwiched yourself, and the second part I like to talk about how to sandwich another team. But like I said before, these positional plays are easier done in a pre-made team, but nevertheless you need to still keep attention when playing solo, because the more people in your team knows how to position correctly, the higher chances that your team actually rotates properly. And even if you're the only one knowing how to rotate correctly, if you walk to the sides, sometimes your team understands what you want to do and they follow you. You should try to do the proper rotations even when playing solo. But let's get right into part 1, how to avoid getting sandwiched. A lot of the things I like to say to how to avoid getting sandwiched will be mentioned in the second part, where I talk about how to sandwich someone else, because it's practically the same thing you try to do. Because if you try to sandwich someone, you try to not get sandwiched yourself in the same time, because that's not how it works. But one tip I can give you, in a situation, for example, you realize there's one team on the left side and one team on the right side of you. So there's 2 things you can do in this situation. Option A is to either kite back, so every team is in a neutral position and like in a triangle position. To demonstrate, you can see in this gameplay that we are fighting 4-on-4 versus green team, but then we see purple team grouping up and they want to engage into the fight. So that means that if we continue to hard focus green, there's a chance that purple will scoop us, because if we are fighting green on the right side and purple comes in, they have the opportunity to ult burst tattoo fighting teams and get some kills this way. It's especially dangerous if green team kites backwards up to the stairs. So in the end, my team gets sandwiched between green team and purple team that comes in and green team that kites on stairs. So we have to react to the situation. So option 1 would be to kite backwards. So every team is in a neutral position and stands in a triangle. This option is the safest way, but it slows down the game a lot and you miss an opportunity to sandwich another team while avoiding getting sandwiched yourself. That's the best outcome you can have, because out of a disadvantage you make an advantage for yourself. And that's option B. Option B is more risky. It's not always guaranteed to be successful. What you're trying to do is kite into one team and kite behind them, so they get instantly into the sandwich position. But this option is only possible on 2 conditions. A, you need to be more mobile than the enemy team. That means you need to have stamina guys in your group, you need to have mist form to remove all the snares, and B, the enemy team you try to outkite is not able to react fast enough to your outkiting maneuver. So option 2 in this scenario would be kiting to the stairs behind the greens and hope that the greens don't react fast enough to realize that they get into a sandwich position if they don't react, and let the purple push in front of the stairs, and that would force green team into a sandwich position. So now the same thing happens again for green team, and they need to make the decision either kite backwards into a neutral triangle position or run straight into one team and try to outkite them. So that's all about how to avoid getting sandwiched. And let's talk about the second part of the video, how to force someone into a sandwich position. I mentioned already some tips to sandwich one team, but there are other ways to force an enemy team into a sandwich position as well. For example, by knowing their spawn location. So that means, for example, in the beginning, you don't run straight into one team as you get instantly into the sandwich position I talked earlier about, but you try to go around so you can flank an other team and hope that the one team that you don't focus on goes onto the team that you try to outflank. So in this scenario, you can see we try to flank purple team. They push too far into green team, so they get into a good sandwich position for us. But green team didn't push on them, so it wasn't really successful. But the idea behind it is that you try to sandwich even before the game or even before the fight starts. If you know where the enemy team spawns, it's also really important, for example in scenarios when you win a team fight and you're able to completely wipe one team and there's the other team left, so you try to contest against them, and instead of relying on a 50-50 where the enemy team comes from, you can try to manipulate the fight and your position based on the respawn of the enemy team that just got wiped. So that means in this theoretical case, if the sandwich position would work and we would wipe purple team and we start fighting green team in a 4 vs 4, we still need to keep in mind where purple team respawns, and if we pushed into that sandwich position I told earlier about, purple team would spawn right behind us and therefore we would be forced into a sandwich position. So in order to counter this, we need to play behind greens or on the left side where our spawn is. Everything on this side is dangerous for our own positioning and should be avoided. That's why we should teamfight on the other side in the marked locations, for example. So in other words, just behind one team based on the other team's spawn location. So when they spawn and when they rush into the fight, they don't instantly focus you because you're the first one they can hit, but they focus on the enemy team because you position yourself correctly. So these are the most important positional tips I can give you for now. If you think that I missed some points, feel free to comment down below and let me know. And again, a quick reminder to join my Discord, link is down below. You can ask me questions there and I will keep you updated on what I'm testing for 1BX and group play, etc. As well as check the description if you're interested in your own gameplay to be featured and to be analyzed for the new series, so you know how you can improve and where you have to improve to get better. I will look at any gameplay, it doesn't matter if it's PC or console, if it's EU on NA or 1BX, Smallscale or BGs. So if you're interested, check out the description below to know how you can submit a gameplay. But that's it for the video, thanks for watching. The next episode will come soon enough and it's probably about Battleground specific builds. But again, thanks for watching and I hope to see you next time.